Hello folks and welcome to the channel. So I have my favourite tipple in hand, well at least for this time of the day, and in today's video what I'm going to do is show you the process that I'm going to go through to mount the engine mounts into both of these projects sitting on the table and install the actual engines. A little bit of background on each. The furthest away model is a Tony Ray Tiger Moth. He originally built it for electric, but then put an IC motor in, and that's where I'm going with it. I've got a nice 4-stroke SR 52, and it should be more than enough to pull that model round. And in the foreground is a model that I purchased when I first started flying. Totally stripped it back and recovered it. Flew it for quite a while, and then it's been in storage for some time, but I've just joined a new club and I want to get familiar with the strip, so I thought this would be a nice workhorse to take up on a blustery day and see how it handles and how I can get used to flying on a new strip under those sort of conditions. And one of the club members, Eric, who you've seen him on videos lots of times, said, I've got a 61 that hasn't seen much use. Would that be any good to you? Well, I think it's probably quite a bit overpowered, but the throttle goes both ways, doesn't it? I don't have to use the full capability of this engine, and I anticipate that I would probably have to put nose weight in anyway into this model, so that's going in. But the engine mount that was in was too narrow. It was for a 45, I think. This is a 61, and I need to put in some new bearing mounts for that purpose. And that's what I'm going to look at. So I'll have some of my tipple and then we'll get started. So this is the business end of the trainer. I've already removed the old mounts, and you can see there they've been drilled out a couple of times, so I don't really want to use these again. And they were too close together to take the 61. So I've got a new set that come as independent. I prefer the independent ones because you can set them up. Sorry, you couldn't see them. I've set them up the way I want them. They're made of some sort of dense plastic, I believe. I'll be mounting them, but before I do so, I'm going to paint inside here black just to tidy it up. There is a little lid that goes over the top of there. I've got that upstairs somewhere and I'll find that. I'm going to paint the inside black, just using some acrylic paint here, and then I'll fuel proof the area ready for the mount to go on. So without further ado, as they say, I'll get a container. I'll get this painted inside, let it dry, then we'll get some fuel proof on. Still have some on the table from fuel proofing the Tiger Moth in the background there, and there's a separate video on that if you would like to look at it. I'll look at 3 different fuel proof mediums and talk about why I'm using them in each location and how I've done them. So if you're into IC, or new to IC rather, it might be a worthwhile video to take a peek at. I'm just giving this a coat of black to tidy it up a little bit. And then we'll get some epoxy fuel proof applied, because this is going to be quite a hard hit area in the so-called engine bay area, because you always have spent fuel and spilt fuel in these sort of areas. So give it a little coat of black like that just to tidy it up, and then when that's dried we'll get it fuel proofed, and then we'll actually start looking at putting the mount in itself. Right, while I'm waiting for the paint to dry on the trainer, let's have a look at this Tiger Moth. The engine's inverted. That's how it sort of gets fitted in to fit in with the cow. I'll double check before I start drilling holes. But something I need to consider for both aircraft is the use of about 2 to 3 degrees of right thrust. Now, it's often quoted that it's you need to do this because of the torque of the engine. Well, in actual fact, out of the 3 factors that tend to make the model want to pull to the left, the torque's probably the least important. We'll start with that one first, actually, because the torque of the engine is caused by the opposite force being applied to the fuselage. So as the prop moves clockwise, the fuselage wants to rotate anti-clockwise. That is a factor. It can be more of a factor in very powerful engines, but more important are the 2 other factors. One's the spiral slipstream of the prop wash. So as the prop's rotating, it creates a slipstream which flows around the aircraft, and it hits the left-hand side of the rudder more strongly than anything else, and that tends to pull the model, push the tail around and bring the nose to the left. And the final thing is the P factor, which is, perhaps beyond my physics, but basically the downward motion of the propeller blade is more effective than the upward motion of the blade. And that has the effect of producing a left-hand yaw as well. So because of those factors, it's advantageous to add in a little bit of right thrust. Now, I don't calculate this scientifically. I've just got used to what looks right. And we're only talking about 2 or 3 degrees at the most. So it doesn't have to be excessive, although it does seem to be more of a factor in foamy electric models, I've noticed. If you buy a ready-to-fly foamy, you'll often find a quite severe right thrust built into it. And for my D7 flare, the engine is actually offset to create the thrust. Anyway, this engine's inverted, so I don't have to do the stupid thing, which is put the wrong thrust angle in. I've got to remember that when I'm doing this, I have to put left-hand thrust in it, looking at it from above, to create right-hand thrust when I flick the model over. So I've got it lined up. I've got 2 holes drilled for the front, but I'm going to open them out slightly so I can actually create the thrust that I want when I come to lock it all up. I'm not actually going to add any down thrust on this occasion because I don't think the model's going to require it. If I would, because it's inverted, I would pack a washer under the front 2 holes to create a degree or so of down thrust. I may actually add some, but we'll see. So I'll get that set up, I'll mark it off, and I'll drill the holes out. Well, bearing in mind what I've just said, I've canted this over to the left, looking at it from below, and I've got a transfer punch here that I used to use quite a lot when I did model engineering. Hopefully without punching it, I can get an impression enough to get the hole in the right place. I'll put one in and retain. I'll take that off. Can I see it? Ooh, just about. I'll double check that. I'll shine the torch on it. If I can, I'm going to drill it through. Back in a moment. This rear bolt, now that I've marked it and drilled it, I've actually tapped the hole through to take the M3 bolt. And I think once I've screwed this home, I'll get a nice tight fit, and I may just be able to squeeze a nut onto the end of it, so I'm getting belt and braces, so to speak. So it's going through, and as I say, with a bit of luck, I'll put a slight flat on the finish. I'm just seeing if it'll go through. slight flat on the other side of the engine bearer so that the nut can be tightened up really well. And I have induced a little bit of side thrust into this so that when I keep on telling myself when I flick it over, it's going to be right thrust. Looking down on it at the moment, it's left thrust. Oh, that's nice and tight, that's good. So, I can just feel the bolt coming through, so if I put a flat on there, I'll be able to get a nut on it. That's going to be really nice and secure. Drill and tap on the other side, and then that's this one done. Well, that's this engine installed. Just remains to try and remember which tube is which from the tank. I'm sure the clear one's the fuel, but we'll see. Fit the exhaust, get the cowl on, job's a good one. Let's do the fuel proofing on the other task for today, the trainer. Well, this is quite straightforward. I simply have to drill through, and I'll have to trim the length of these bearers because they're slightly too long. I want the engine as far back as it'll go. Get them bolted onto the bulkhead now that it's been fuel proofed. Mark through, drill, and let's get these put on, and then I've got another model just about ready to go. Bearings are now in place and bolted in place, and they'll accept the engine. And I've got a funny feeling that this is going to balance out without any additional weight, which is always a good sign. Obviously way too big an engine, but it'll be throttled back, that's all. So next thing I need to do, if I take this off, is to cut these flush with the front of the cheeks, and then we'll drill this through, bolt the engine on, and that's two engines attached to two little projects, all ready for some fun at the field. Well, there we go, task complete. Obviously the exhaust has to go on. I need to find where I've put that up in the modelling den, but that's basically the setup, and I'll have the push rod going over the top, very functional, and there we have the engine installed and the exhaust, which will pop out just at the bottom, just emerge at the bottom of the cowl, very inobtrusive. If you've enjoyed that little interlude, please give it a thumbs up and stay tuned for the further adventures of Tony Ray's Tiger Moth, and Bob here would like you to follow along and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Take care, folks. If you can't get flying, let's be creative.